Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today I am going to tell you guys a little bit about me and my story. I'm actually going to touch on depression, toxic relationships and patterns, and narcissists. So it all started honestly from my upbringing, which I can touch on in another video, but it all started when I felt like I didn't get the love and attention from my parents, and more so my dad, because I was a daddy's girl for a long time until my little sister was born. And I felt like that was lost at that time. So a part of me thought that I needed the attention and love from something else because I didn't get it from my dad. So I eventually, after I got out of the religion that I was raised in, I started dating. And my first boyfriend, I actually didn't notice until my sisters and my cousins and my friends pointed these big things out about this person. And I'm not gonna name names in this video for privacy reasons and because, I don't need to call them out, it's okay. In that relationship, it was my first relationship, so I really didn't know how to date or how to be a good girlfriend and how a boyfriend should be, you know? It was all new to me. And so I eventually ended up breaking up with him because of a lot of narcissistic traits that he had, and more so, I guess, tendencies that were a little bit too toxic and were not good for me or for him. So I ended up leaving that relationship because it did get a little abusive and was mentally and verbally abusive as well. And after I broke up with him, I didn't even know, honestly, I didn't know who I was at all. So I was still searching for that because I thought that I didn't get it. So I was still searching for that love and that connection and what I thought was love and what I thought was a good connection. So I kept attracting these same people and the same patterns, and I wondered why every single person that I got with and all my boyfriends, they were all narcissists. And I just wondered, I'm like, oh, poor me, why do I keep attracting these people? But I never looked within myself and asked myself, why am I attracting these kind of people every single time? And it was never good. It never got good. It literally got worse every single time I got with a person. It would be more abusive. It would get more mentally, physically, and emotionally abusive. So my last relationship was with a guy who I was with on and off for about 2 years. And this last one really shook me up because it really took this last relationship to really wake me up and have me sit back and notice that if I wanted to stay in this pattern and if I wanted to keep continuing this, it was only going to get worse and worse and worse, to the point where I may not have been here, honestly. And eventually, when I met this guy, I thought that I had done the work with myself because I gave myself time, and what I thought time for myself was a month, 2 months, 3 months, and I'm like, you know what, I'm good, I'm set. I just want that connection. I want that love. Honestly, it felt almost like validation because I never got that from my dad, so I was looking for it in other men. Maybe I can fix this guy so I can prove that I'm lovable, and if I get this man's approval, then it's like getting approval from my dad that I never got, which is not true. It is not true, and it never fulfilled it. So we were dating for about maybe 5 months, and I started to slowly see his true colors and these patterns that I was familiar with, and I noticed that the same things were happening again, and I started noticing more mental abuse. And me being the person that is a positive, my sister actually taught me this, it's more like a toxic, it's a toxic way of looking at life, as in oh, I look at everything in a positive way, and I try to make the best out of things, but there can be toxic positivity as well, and that is what I deal with sometimes, and I did deal with a lot and in relationships. I started seeing these patterns and I ignored them because, you know, I knew myself. Eventually, it started getting worse from there, and I thought to myself, well, if I did the work on myself, then why is this still happening? And it got to the point where I really liked this guy, and I mean, I could say that I loved him because I did, and it was weird because it almost felt like the connection with my dad that I never got, and it felt so comfortable. Like, I was so comfortable with the narcissism that I thought that is how I should have been treated. You know, I was like, you know what, I can settle for this. It's not that bad. We ended up breaking up about 10 months into dating, and I took a break because obviously things were not going great, and we ended up hooking up again. That was the next year. Things really got bad there because I don't feel like bashing on people, but it's just kind of the truth. Things got 10 times worse when I got with him again because he felt like it was my fault that we broke up, and it was my fault that he was unhappy. And I tried to make things work. I told him, I said, you know, yeah, it is my fault. I'll take blame for it, but we can both be right, we can both be wrong. And he would never take the blame. He could never admit that he did anything wrong. And it was just really frustrating to be in that position because I was in a victim mentality, and I would just think, well, I just really want to be with this person because it's comfortable. And he saw it as, oh, she still wants me, so I'm the prize, and I can do anything I want because she wants me. It got to the point where it almost didn't even feel like we were together because he'd be texting other girls, he'd be talking to other girls, and we'll say that, okay? I got to the point that I was so used to just being disrespected and lied to, and mentally and physically and emotionally so bad abused, that I was so comfortable with it, and I was in such a deep depression because I chose to see the good, and that is toxic. To see the good in this relationship. I honestly, at that point, didn't even know who I was, and I was so unhappy that I wouldn't respond the same to my friends or my family or those around me, because I was in such a dark place in my own life, and I hated how I was being treated. I hated where I was stuck in a job that I didn't want to be in. Honestly, I did like my job. That was like my only escape, but it wasn't like, it's not my dream job. So I was like, I'm stuck here, I'm stuck in a relationship, and it just felt like everything was hitting the fan, and I felt as though I didn't have any control over it, which it all comes down to that. I had 100% control over what I was doing and what I was putting up with. I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that this was all his fault. It was my fault for staying. That was my biggest lesson, is you have control over, if you're in a situation like this, you're the one staying. No one else is forcing you to stay there. Unless they are, you need to reach out. But if you're in a situation that I was in, I was just taking it. What I didn't realize is it wasn't him. He could treat me as bad as he wanted, but I was taking it as if I deserved it, because I didn't believe that I deserved better and that I couldn't find better. I do want to quickly hop on here and say that a huge part of my journey has been forgiveness, and I have fully forgiven these people in my life because I feel like it is a big part of growing and moving on and taking back your power, because that is something that we all truly want. And by forgiving people, it takes back the power from them and puts it back in your hands. And that is just something that
I have noticed has helped a lot for me in growing and learning and moving on is taking back my power, forgiving the people who hurt me, and moving on. And yeah, I just think it's very important for everyone to know that. And also, another thing is we should not beat ourselves up for the things that we could have done better or should maybe have not have done. We all could have done things better. We could have made different choices, but everything happens for a reason, and you learn from the choices that you make.
So eventually, I did start reaching out to friends and family because I felt crazy. I felt absolutely crazy. Like, am I crazy for putting up with this? Is it okay? Like, is this normal how he's treating me, how he's talking to me? And my friends and family were appalled at some of the things that he did and said. And it really, like, I told people, and I've been looking for answers. I was praying, like, I need help. I can't get out of this alone. It was just hard because every time I tried to break up with him, he would pull me back in. He would pull me back in, but he would still treat me bad. So I was like, what is this? Why am I so confused? I hate this. Like, it's so awful. I started talking to my sister, Holly, and she, at that time, gave me great advice that stuck with me and really helped me. And she told me, you are your own person. You have every right to walk away. You have the power to do what you want with your life. You are staying, so you're putting up with it, which also tells him that it's okay to treat me like that because I'm still there. I'm still putting up with it. It really all does come down to that. Like, if you're in that situation, reach out to friends and family who can help you. I literally had to have my sister and my brother-in-law help me move my things out of his house because I couldn't do it alone. And that was my answer. That was my answer to my prayers. I was so emotionally drained that I couldn't do it. It was so hard to get out. So I definitely understand when people say, oh, just get out. Oh, just leave him. It's not that easy. It really isn't. What I eventually ended up doing, like, every single day I would go to work, every single day in the morning I would pray, please give me the answers, please help me get out of the situation. And that was my answer. I went going about my days, doing little things that built me up to make me feel better because I was just so familiar with feeling so shitty all the time that I thought it was normal. I didn't even know what was on the other side. I would say, no, there's nothing better than this. Like, I got it. I've got that comfort. And I had no idea what was out there for me. I had no idea how much different I would show up as a person for my friends, my family, and for everyone else around me. It really does make a big difference. So I eventually started doing, I think it's the high five habit. I started doing that in the mirror and it felt so weird. It felt super weird because I'm like, why would I talk to myself? Like, it was hard, but I slowly started doing that. I started telling myself affirmations. I started listening to Hertz music and just trying to fill myself up with positivity as much as I could. It just came to the day that I never expected to break up with him, but we ended up just going to my sister's house and he wanted to go to a party with some people that I wasn't very comfortable with him being around, I guess you could say. I said, you know how I feel about this, but if you want to go, you can go. He ended up leaving and I ended up talking to my sister about some things that had happened in the relationship since getting back with him. And yeah, so we ended up grabbing my stuff and leaving, and it was just over before I knew it. And it was the most uncomfortable feeling ever. I couldn't handle it. I literally had to be around people in my family who would not let me go back because it was so comfortable and familiar to me that it's almost like I didn't even know how to function out of that situation, you know? Fast forward to now, I am so much happier. I am actually doing things that I love and working on myself, spending time with myself, which is what I needed the whole time. Actually knowing who I am and loving the process and the journey of finding out what I really like, what I like to do, what are my hobbies, and not having to worry about what that other person is doing, who they're talking to. It's just so much easier that way. It's just like you have to have that time with yourself to truly understand what you want, and you have to love yourself before you love anyone else. And that is so profound. I can do a whole nother video on the things that I've done getting out of the relationship that have built me up to where I am now, and just like tips. I can do videos like that. I have a whole list of things, but I think that's really the main point, and my story, kind of toxic patterns and being in a depression and how I got out. And I've dealt with a lot of narcissists and it's not fun. It's just more of a toxic patterning in my whole entire life, and it's no more of that. We are changing it. We're switching things up, and we're doing things for the better. And yeah, I'm really excited where my life is going now. I'm super happy to be on YouTube, and I love sitting down and talking to you guys. Honestly, this is not really my type of video to sit down and talk, but I've really been wanting to do these kind of videos for you guys. So I don't even know if that made sense, but I can touch on different points if you guys would like me to. Just let me know in the comments if you guys want to see any other kind of video like this. And yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in my next video.